In this world, when kids turn 16, they take part in a big event called the blessing ceremony. On that day, they get special powers from animal gods. For example, if you get a blessing from a bird god, you grow wings and can fly. If it's a fish god, you can swim super fast. Sophia Rila was called to the stage, nervous as all the other students watched. She knew what blessings could mean. Some could make you famous, like a peacock or a fox blessing, which would send you straight into the beauty or acting world. But Sophia didn't want to stand out or become famous. She just wanted something simple, like a mole blessing, so she could quietly see in the dark. But when she opened her eyes and saw the card in her hand, it had a gorilla on it. The next day, her classmate Carissa came over and teased her, saying there was no way she got a bird blessing since she wasn't very athletic. But before she could say more, she saw a handsome knight named Sir Scarrow and ran off to fangirl with her friends. That left Sophia alone at the table, which was perfect. She could finally eat her lunch in peace. Sophia studied at Deerentown Academy, a fancy school for kids from noble families. They said the school taught leadership and manners, but really, the boys just wanted to make powerful friends, and the girls were all trying to marry someone rich. Sophia was from a Count's family, but her family's land was far away and not that important. She wished she could just graduate and be done with it, but there were still 2 more years left. That afternoon, she picked up an apple and accidentally crushed it. Again, ever since the ceremony, she had been too strong. She went to the headmaster for help, and when he saw her card, he looked shocked. He told her the gorilla god blessing was extremely rare. Maybe one person every 50 years got it. And it wasn't just rare, it was powerful. Gorillas are 7 times stronger than humans, and their grip is strong enough to crush over 500 kilograms. Sophia was horrified. This wasn't what she wanted at all. Before she left, the headmaster asked her to visit his office after school the next day. As she left, a squirrel came by, so she gave it some bread, then went back to class. But the next day brought more surprises. The headmaster said Sophia had been scouted by the Royal Knights. She wouldn't join right away. First, she had to take a test. If she passed, she'd train as a junior knight and eventually become a real one. Sophia was shocked. "Why me?" she asked. The headmaster just laughed and said it was because of her blessing. Since the gorilla blessing gave such strong combat power, the school had to report her to the royal palace. In fact, every person who ever got the gorilla blessing before had become a knight. Sophia felt like she was in a nightmare. Being a royal knight was a huge honor, but she had never even heard of a girl knight before. And she wasn't even a fighter. She just became a gorilla yesterday. But she knew if she said no, people might blame her parents. And if the kingdom thought she disobeyed, she might even get banished. Now, Sophia was stuck in a very big problem, and she had no idea what to do next. Sophia agreed to take the exam, but only if her blessing and the test stayed a secret. The headmaster agreed, saying it was actually a smart idea, especially since the anti-monarchy group had been acting out lately. Still, he cheered her on and wished her luck. Later, Sophia went back to grab her handkerchief and felt a little sad. If she became a knight, her peaceful life would be over for good. But then she had an idea. What if she just failed on purpose? Even with her gorilla strength, if they saw she wasn't knight material, they wouldn't accept her anyway. On the day of the junior knight exams, Sophia ran into a merchant who looked very stressed. One of his cartwheels had broken, and he had no way to move his cargo. Sophia wanted to help, but worried that people might talk if they saw her use her super strength. Still, she decided to help and lifted all the heavy barrels for him. The problem? She ended up in the next town over and had no clue where the exam was happening. Just then, a handsome young man with shiny green eyes showed up and asked if she needed help. Sophia got flustered by his looks, but quickly told him she was lost and needed to get to the Royal Knight training grounds. He smiled and pointed her in the right direction, even gently wiping dirt off her face with his handkerchief. As she ran off, he said, "See you later," which left her wondering what he meant by that. When she arrived, Sophia was nervous. She was the only girl taking the test and wanted it to be over quickly. But to her surprise, the handsome man from earlier was there again. And he was actually the one leading the exam. His name was Louis Scarrell, the youngest knight candidate ever. The first test was a sprint, and a boy named Isaac Sheehan went first. He was super fast, running the track in just 9.9 seconds. Sophia thought there was no way she could beat someone like him. When it was her turn, the boys laughed at how clumsy she looked. But then something funny happened. The gorilla blessing kicked in. She started running, felt super light, and accidentally smashed right through a wall. She realized running felt like flying, and apparently gorillas can run up to 40 kilometers per hour. Next came the rope test. Everyone had to rappel down from a tall building. Sophia was scared, and she wasn't the only one. But one cool kid named Eddie Fellis just flipped down like it was nothing. Sophia was impressed, but then she saw Isaac looking terrified in the corner. He was scared of heights, so Sophia offered to go before him in case he needed help. That made Isaac feel a little embarrassed that a girl was trying to protect him, but he thanked her, said her name was nice, and even asked if they could go down together. While climbing, a big gust of wind suddenly snapped Isaac's rope. Sophia didn't even think. She grabbed him like he was a sack of potatoes. He didn't weigh anything to her thanks to the gorilla's strength. But then her rope also came loose, and once again, her instincts took over as she held onto Isaac and safely brought them both down. Just another day in the life of a teenage girl who accidentally became a walking powerhouse. Isaac was crying and kept thanking Sophia again and again. Before the next test started, Louis gently told Sophia to follow him to the infirmary. She didn't even realize her hands were all scratched up and rough. As he treated her wounds, Sophia couldn't help staring at him. His long eyelashes, his perfect nose, he looked like someone from a fancy painting. When Louis caught her staring, he laughed. But then he got distracted holding her hand and suddenly blushed when he realized what he was doing. Sophia was shocked. She didn't even know someone like him could blush. Louis said he was curious about her strength. He thought maybe she had strong legs because of how she ran. But now he wanted to understand more. Of course, Sophia couldn't just say, "Hey, I got blessed by the gorilla god." So she stayed quiet. On the way back, they passed by the sparring test. One of the practice swords almost hit her, and she felt lucky she had taken that detour to the infirmary. Still, she started glowing with nervous energy, worried that missing this part might cause her to fail. And if she failed, would she ever see Louis again? Probably not. After all, he lived in a different world than her. The exams were coming to an end. Louis thanked Sophia for saving someone's life today. Isaac came running over to check on her, and Louis praised them both. As they walked together, Isaac couldn't stop talking about how amazing Louis was. He became a knight at just 15, even before getting his blessing. He came from a super important family that had produced many knight captains, and he had already mastered the sword. Yet he never acted arrogant. Isaac really looked up to him, and Sophia felt a little jealous. She wished she had a dream like that. Honestly, Isaac seemed like the kind of person who should have gotten her powers instead. Then they saw Eddie getting bullied by a few other boys. They whispered things like "mistress's child" and said he didn't belong at the exam. Sophia tried to help by saying they promised to walk home with Eddie. The bullies just laughed, and one even tried to punch Sophia, but Isaac blocked it, trying to hit a girl. That was way out of line for someone wanting to become a knight. But then, surprise, Eddie knocked the breath out of one of them with a clean hit. Things almost turned into a full fight, until one boy grabbed Sophia and she pulled back so hard he flew into a tree. As the three of them walked home together, Isaac kept praising Sophia like she was a hero. She felt bad though, because the other boys had run off calling her a freak. Isaac jokingly said maybe she was some secret ninja from the Far East. But Eddie interrupted and revealed the truth. Sophia had been blessed by the gorilla god. He pointed out how she carried a grown man like it was nothing, and how her weird running style beat Isaac, who used to be the fastest guy in the country, even before his dog blessing made him faster. Eddie laughed and said he wished he had gotten the gorilla blessing. He went full animal mode, like a walking jungle documentary. He explained how gorillas could run 40 kilometers per hour, had arms 7 times stronger than humans, and a grip strength over 500 kilograms. The gorilla god was one of only 2 ultimate combat class blessings, but still, Eddie didn't understand why Sophia wasn't bragging. She was amazing and had even saved him. The boys then reintroduced themselves properly. Eddie, who was also 16, kept his own blessing a secret. Some people do that since it can be dangerous if others know. Still, Isaac raised all their hands and shouted that he hoped they all passed together. But deep inside, Sophia felt a little sad again. She knew she probably wouldn't see them again, unless you like this video and subscribe to my channel, and let's enjoy these stories together. She passed. Yep, no surprise there. I mean, even though she missed one part of the exam, the insane thing she did couldn't be ignored. She was teary-eyed, overwhelmed, but her training as a junior knight would officially begin after school. Back in class, the girls were squealing non-stop. Why? Because the 2 new transfer students were Isaac and Eddie. Sophia immediately hid her face, heart racing. What in the world were they doing here? But Isaac, being his usual, loud self, pointed right at her, calling her out in front of everyone. Just like that, she earned the angry glares of her classmates. So much for her peaceful school life. Later, she told the boys she didn't want anyone knowing about her blessing or that she was part of the Knights. Isaac didn't really get why, but looking at how all the girls clung to him and Eddie, Sophia, and knew she couldn't handle even more drama. The boys promised to keep it secret, but as they walked together, a huge crowd of screaming girls came into view, and in the center of it all was Louis. He greeted them warmly, happy to see them, but Sophia wasn't as thrilled. She could feel the burning jealousy of every girl around her. She nervously asked what he was doing here, and Louis smiled, explaining that even though he had knight duties at 18 years old, he was also technically her senior in more ways than one. He started congratulating them for passing the exam until Sophia panicked and shoved him inside the hallway, hand over his mouth. Embarrassed, she apologized right away. How had she never noticed he went to the same school this whole time? Things didn't get any better in class. Sophia was suddenly surrounded by even more attention than usual. Carissa was especially curious about her and Louis, demanding to know what their relationship was. Sophia tried to say they'd only met once, but Carissa clearly wasn't buying it. As lunch slipped away and Sophia hadn't even had a bite to eat, she played the oldest trick in the book, pointed and yelled, "Look, Louis is over there." All the girls fell for it, giving her the perfect chance to escape. She finally made it to the cafeteria and thought she could eat in peace until Isaac and Eddie came to sit with her. Not that she minded, but they were also swarmed by fangirls, barely getting a break. Eddie looked annoyed and whispered that people at this school really had nothing better to do. Every time he tried to eat, someone was asking about his hobbies or background. Sophia could only laugh nervously while feeling every jealous eye in the room stabbing into her. Then, déjà vu. The cafeteria erupted again. Louis had arrived, and of course, he joined them at the table like it was no big deal. He casually reminded them about their night induction ceremony happening tomorrow. Meanwhile, Sophia was stuffing her food down, hoping to disappear before anyone dragged her into more drama. But a small part of her felt like it would be a shame to leave so soon. That's when Louis leaned closer and asked for a moment. He handed her a small bag with a muffin inside, softly saying he figured she hadn't eaten enough. But she wasn't allowed to tell Isaac or Eddie since he didn't bring them anything. Before she could even react, he walked off. But the tension in the air told her one thing. The jealous girls had seen everything, and now they wanted answers. All right, if you're loving this gorilla ride and want me to continue this series, then make sure to comment more Gorilla Lady and like the video to signal me I'll see you in the next one.